My name's Chris.
And I'm craving toffee and caramel. And I'm also Kristie.
And this is the Washing Up Podcast, and we've just had Caramel Week.
It was a little bit sticky for the bakers this week.
It's an interesting week. I mean...
They might have got stuck in it.
Ooh.
On it. I'm trying to do all the caramel puns.
Well, they really didn't do as many as I anticipated, which was disappointing.
I know.
I mean, Mike on Twitter was saying that he was disappointed and he was hoping they would have gone with Custard Week because far more puns. But I always have a bit of an issue with these when they get to the really novelty weeks. I understand caramel's definitely, involved in baking, but
yeah,
But
they showed the range of it tonight.
I know they did, although
mostly as a filling.
Yeah, although again, it was mostly as a filling, and the other problem I had was
they called it Millionare Shortbread and not caramel slice.
We'll come back to that too. The caramel cake for the showstopper,
yeah.
Surely you can come up with something more creative than make a caramel cake.
But it's Caramel Week. What do you want them to do?
Come up with something more creative for caramel.
But it's Caramel Week. What else? And it's baking. What else can you do?
They came up with the Stroopwafel.
That was for the technical.
Exactly. If you can come up with the Stroopwafel, you can find something else. I don't know what.
We'll disagree on this point. I think
caramel soufflés. Go. Enjoy.
They could have done a profiterole challenge because we haven't seen that in a cooking show before.
No, that's never happened. All right. So let's get into it. So we started off with, as you pointed out, the Millionaire Shortbread.
AKA caramel slice that'll never be as good as my mum's.
Yeah, it was interesting as well, all the people in England sort of just following along with the Great British Bake Off hashtag again, which as we're all watching it out here, and they must have been wondering what the hell was going on, because all these Australians were doing was prattling on about caramel slice. It's Millionaire Shortbread Week, and they're all doing these takes on Millionaire Shortbread, and there's the Australians going, where's caramel slice?
I mean, everyone's looked nice. There was a lot that looked quite pretty. Oh, not everyone, I should say. Because, what's-her-face looked... The one who used acetate, who was that? Kate? Looked like a dog's breakfast.
Sophie used the acetate.
Sophie, okay.
That always goes well with Bake Off. That never goes badly.
No.
Ask Jane.
Ask Jane and her chocolate colours.
There was two things in this episode. Jane responded to our good friend Brandon on Twitter when he commented about Caramel Week must be giving Jane horrible flashbacks, and she's like, please don't bring that memory up. And there were two things in this episode that Jane must go to bed every night just fearing, which was caramel and acetate. I mean... It just sums up her bake-off sort of experience. Nightmare at the end. Yes. So there were some interesting choices. I mean, the stem ginger that Tom came up with.
I mean, there's not a lot you can experiment with. I mean, they had stem ginger. There's bay leaves. I liked Liam's peanut butter idea because that to me is like peanut brittle, it's a beautiful combination.
I have no problems with his flavour. We'll talk about Liam's in a bit more detail in a minute.
Yeah. But the ginger, I can see that happening. I'm not
a big fan of it, but I'll go with it.
Yeah. My mum makes the best caramel slice. I'm like, don't fuck with it. Just let my mum make it and feed it to me. Kate
did a very Kate thing and went with something weird and channeled her inner Ian and brought half the garden.
She's practicing. So
and she made salted bay caramel, which there were a few of us on Twitter talking about bay caramel. Okay, sure. But apparently the judges liked it.
Yeah, I can't see it being an issue because, bay leaves are used in a lot of the chutneys and that kind of stuff. So give it a bit of an umami. Stephen and Stacey decided to do our Mary Berry homage this week. Stephen went with an orange liqueur, which was very scaled back and very refined. Stacey's gone, bring out the rum, bitches! It's a party on the Caribbean!
And Stacey's decided to get everyone drunk.
I'm surprised she didn't bring out limes and coconuts.
I love that before they started to go and have a sip of it, Paul and Noel sort of said, how much do you need? And she's like, just a tablespoon. And he's like, great. Oh, okay. So Paul takes a swig and then Noel takes a swig. And it's big when Noel takes a swig, takes a breath and goes, whew. Ooh, that was...
Every time the booze comes out, I just see the spirit of Mary Berry just
just...
Well, literally the spirit of Mary.
Spirits of Mary Berry just...
I'd like to think that people who are using alcohol this series have found the stash in the back of the tent.
Found it from the booze cabinet.
Mary kept that for slow baking days, and really bad bakes needed it. Now, Liam had a couple of things in this episode. The first thing was Liam was the first person in this series, if you had it in the pool, to be told before he'd done anything. We all know that strong flavours are where you're the strongest at in this competition. There hasn't really been any proof of that up to this point.
No.
But they always have to pick one person who's strong flavours. And if you remember last year, they ran through 4 different contestants with, well, you're the strong flavours person. And then they eat something and go, this is bland. And the next episode, like it never happened, they come back and go, well, you've always been the strong flavours person. It's like, no.
Do you think it's because the producer's a bit like us at the beginning and forgets people's names? And
Yeah,
just goes, oh, it's that guy, you know, the one that cooked the thing.
The guy with the thing. I mean, you've seen me while we're doing this, and I'm still looking at you and going, who's that?
Stacey?
Is that Stacey or Sophie?
Yeah.
And it's not because they look alike, it's the 2 S names, and I'm still learning them. So...
Stacey, blonde.
And the other thing we learned...
Sophie, brunette.
And now we know that Stacey's rum has got it going on. And... and we also learned that Yan is Banksy.
Because she denied it, and Noel said only
the real Banksy would deny that they were Banksy. And look, Noel Fielding, you get the feeling if anyone would have a clue about Banksy, it's probably Noel Fielding.
And interestingly enough, just before the next challenge, they send him off to Holland.
Again, wasn't it funny that Noel got the Holland trip? So the judging in this one, there were a couple of bits and pieces that sort of stood out. The texture, Yan had some texture comments. As Prue said, I don't think the texture of anything is right.
Yeah, well, she did the whole, I'm bugger using a thermometer, I'm just going to eye it. And I thought that sounded sound and logical because she was waiting for the steam to stop rising, but I'm thinking, but if it also drops below a certain point, you're not going to be losing moisture.
No. James's shortbread was doughy and odd-shaped, and I believe the word that was used was unpleasant. That's what you want in your shortbread challenge.
Thank goodness that was in the first one and not in the last bake, because
now
you want that forgotten quickly.
Stephen gave us Stephen gave us an interesting thing with his bitter one, which they both loved. They liked the fact that it was more bitter.
No, Paul Hollywood didn't like it.
No, that one they liked. It was the one after. It was Stacey's that Paul hated.
Oh, it was divisive?
Yeah.
I thought it was Stephen's.
No. Stephen's, they both liked it. Prue loves it.
Because it wasn't as sweet?
No, you're right. That's right. My bad. You're right.
Yeah, I am right.
Paul hated it because it was bitter. She loved it because it was bitter.
Yeah.
I like this to and fro they've got going on. And the following one was Stacey, where Prue loved it, but Paul just thought, what's with the chocolate layer?
Yeah.
And like they commented on the strength of the rum too.
Well, the thing is, I found everyone's layers to be a bit off, and this is the thing that always annoys me too, is that usually when you get it from the shops, caramel slice is too cakey in the biscuit down the bottom. There's too much caramel, like you need more caramel to chocolate ratio, and the chocolate has to be tempered correctly and crack on top. It can't be too thick. It's got to be like cracky thin.
And given you've sort of told me this week I need to make some caramel slice, I'm taking all these notes on board. You'll be able to see the results of this, by the way, on our Instagram, so we'll put a link up to our Instagram a bit later too. Now, there were 2 others we need to talk about.
Yes.
Tom
the Piper's son.
Now, yeah.
Fucked a cake and away he
ran.
Nod.
Yeah.
Not like that.
Not that. Not an American. Not an American Pie manner.
I meant it metaphorically.
Metaphorically, not American Pie. Now, the problem for Tom was he didn't cut anything.
No, he made 2 big slabs.
He made 2 big slabs and didn't cut it. Now, I was in favour of batch baking. Turns out it wasn't the right call, so my mistake.
Yeah.
Because Tom, didn't get around to cutting it, just went, I'll just put the 2 slabs down.
But this is what I don't get with Tom, right? As we find out, he practiced his showstopper in muffin tins.
Yeah, made muffins.
And here he is with the... What's it called? The
fake caramel slice.
The fake caramel slice.
Millionaire's shortbread.
They're not the caramel slice.
The not caramel slice.
And making it in slabs. Like, it just doesn't...
And not cutting it, and it wasn't particularly brilliant.
No.
Now, Liam. Now, Liam.
I liked what Liam produced.
I liked the look of the flavours. I liked the use of the peanut butter.
But what have you got to say?
What have I got to say?
Yeah.
He made a showstopper in the first challenge. I didn't like the fact that he went Tetris and made a design and did that in the first challenge.
Why?
Because it actually made it look like it stood out over everything else on the basis of design. The first challenge...
I'm sorry, but
Excuse
how
me.
you put it on the
first
plate?
The first challenge...
Yes.
Bear with me here before you just attack.
I'm not attacking.
The
I'm
first
just saying
challenge is designed to just be the make this, alright? He went out and got the Tetris sign and did the... Look, again...
So he was enthusiastic.
He was enthusiastic, but like the rest
He's
of them...
The man's a fan of Tetris.
But the rest of... Again, as a computer nerd, no issue with this. But my problem with it is that the rest of them could have gone out and done something like that to sort of draw the focus on it too. Do I think he made a good slice? Yes, I do. Do I have a problem with it in terms of that should be an automatic disqualification? No, I don't. But do I think that that's something that they probably should have gone, don't quite do that because that's not the purpose of that first challenge? Because again...
It's just how he's putting it on the plate. It's not like he went overboard and like decorate. He didn't do a flora and make 60 macarons to go around it.
Yeah, but she got punished for that. Whenever she did that, she got punished for that.
Yeah, but the thing is, the only reason why I don't think he should have done Tetris is because they were perfectly... it was the worst
Jenga. It was the worst Tetris draw ever as well.
Yeah, and he should have done Jenga. Because they were all the same size little slabs. He could have just done the Jenga
he could have
tower.
done Jenga. I agree with you on that. But, again, I don't think in the first challenge, no. Later on challenges, no problem. That was the showstopper and he'd done that. Not an issue in the world with it. In fact, I think it's a really good idea for a showstopper.
So you want to...
They did board games.
Let me hear your rationale. You want to deduct points because he overachieved in the first thing.
I don't want to deduct points because he overachieved in the first one.
If you got I
want an even playing field. Okay, you're about to go as a teacher. I'll give you a counterpoint. Okay, go.
As a teacher, if you asked all of your students to hand in, say, just a short one-page essay on something,
yep,
and they've all handed it in and... some of them got bad content, but, they made it look neat and it's shit, and they're like, meh. And then you get two, right?
Yep.
And one's just written out pretty plainly, just the red margin down the side, all written plainly. And then you get someone who's gone to the trouble of intricately, doing it, and they've still got really good content. Who do you think you should mark more?
I mark it based on content. Pure content. And also, where I think this is better, where I think where I want to really go on about that point is the better analogy is you've asked everybody to write a one-page essay.
Yeah.
Right? And the reason you want everyone to write a one-page essay is to demonstrate their ability to meet a brief and reply to a one-page essay. And what someone's done is gone out and done 2 pages because they can, which is great and fantastic, but you don't want 2 pages. You want 1 page to prove they can meet the brief.
Yeah, but he made the 1-page essay, okay? He just chose to plate it up in a little bit of a fancy way.
And a lot of the time when you get people go overly fancy on a 1-page essay, they're covering up for things.
But he didn't.
Moving on.
He didn't. It still tasted good. He got a handshake.
Moving on.
Handshake.
Look, he deserved a handshake for the quality of the food.
Exactly.
I'm not at no point have I said it wasn't.
So you want to deduct
food.
points for enthusiasm?
No,
okay.
I don't want to deduct points at all.
Moving on then.
Anyway.
Moving on to the technical, that was the failure of all failures. Stroopwafel, as we discovered.
Stroopwafels.
Started off because poor people mashed biscuits together with caramel. Or bakery offcuts.
So the Stroopwafel. Not the dumpf noodle, the Stroopwafel.
Stroopwafel. So, yeah, but the Stroopwafel doesn't have an arch dedicated to it, does it?
Now, I thought it was really weird that Paul Hollywood was talking to Prue about Prue going, I feel really evil. He's like, you are a bit evil for doing this. You gave them dumpf noodle last year, Paul. That was far worse.
Yeah.
Right, again, as you said, there's no archway dedicated to the Stroopwafel.
No. But there's a dude whose family's been making them for fucking, 200 years or something bullshit?
Exactly, and again, they sent Noel Fielding over to Amsterdam, because I'm sure that was a difficult trip for him.
I love there was, can't remember who it was, but one of them was when they were doing the test cut and they cut it and went, maybe they won't notice, and Noel's just gone, they will notice. They will.
He was like Mr. Observation at that round, you know. There's what's the face he going, Stroop means.
Oh yeah, Sandy goes, Stroop means, and
Toffee.
waffle means waffle. Mono means one, and rail means rail. I loved when they were trying to cut the waffle.
Yes.
I'm gonna. By the way, I don't care if it's right or wrong. I'm gonna pronounce it waffle.
You're so Dutch.
I know, aren't I?
It's like
I know Dutch people. Hello, Mr. Ungerman. How you going? So
I slept with a Dutch guy once. Hi, Mrs. Buchanan. Moving on. Okay.
anyway, we'll talk about that later.
All right.
Not because I'm angry. I want the story. So no one could cut the waffle.
No.
And I loved Yan where she cut the edge off and this is good. It's munching away on the side of it. I loved it. I love the fact that no one could cut a waffle. Right?
Yeah, but you saw how thin those fuckers are. I mean, who can actually cut? Like, you get a bagel, right? No one can cut that straight across. How the fuck are you going to do it with a tiny little thinny thing like that?
It was more because they said it was a bit like solid, even though it was like a waffle, so it was solid, and that was part of the problem they were having. Was they needed to try to get the blade in to cut it. Now tonight is the most Noel I think we've seen Noel.
He was very nice.
When he compared the Stroopwafel to Rutger Hauer. And then did a Noel Fielding pratfall over a bush. I've been wondering how long it would take to get to Noel being Noel.
Next week, I reckon there's a poncho.
Oh, there's got to be a poncho.
There's got to be a poncho.
Ponchos have to hurry up and get there. But I did like this the Rutger Hauer Stroopwafel.
Yes. Went on to make
now
Blade Runner.
In terms of the Stroopwafel, the importance about the Stroopwafel was there were 12 of them to be made, and nobody got it right. And when I say
make 13.
when I said nobody got it right, Prue Leith at one point when she's doing the judging, halfway through the judging, looks at them and in her best disappointed teacher voice goes, "Did none of you get the caramel right?"
Yeah, but she didn't even put a hint. She didn't even put a hint on how to make that caramel.
But that's the point. You're not supposed to put a hint in there.
Okay, but it's one thing to be disappointed if you've taught people and they just don't fucking get it. It's another thing to go figure it out for yourselves, fuckers.
Now,
what, you can't make the caramel correct?
The thing that I took out of the Stroopwafel challenge was that they completely discounted the Stroopwafel challenge when it came to judging on the basis of nobody got that shit right.
Yeah.
And like the reason I can sort of say that is, like, I thought Stacey had done okay, and she topped the Stroopwafel challenge, but wasn't really in the running for Star Baker at the very end of it. They sort of discounted it.
And Liam was technically ranked higher than Kate.
Yeah, well, Liam was
after
third.
The two.
Liam was third.
No, he was
Third, but I'm saying third in the Stroopwafel.
Was he third in the Stroopwafel? I thought it was fourth. But anyway, he was higher than her because she was 6, I think.
Yes.
And in the Not a Caramel Slice challenge, he got the handshake. Kate got that looks really pretty, but it's not quite right.
No, Kate got it was good. It wasn't a handshake, but that was the bay where they went, those flavours are tremendous.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So she was probably second in the shortbreads.
So they were kind of neck and neck. Okay.
And it comes down to the cake.
And she did make one that they said was the best cake they've
Again,
ever tasted.
Prue Leith did ask for the recipe.
Yeah.
You know you're doing well when Prue asks you for the recipe.
All right, I can see. Yes, she did earn Star Baker.
So in the showstopper, we had a couple of, again, Noel being Noel. Was when Stacey was running around with all the hot things bubbling away and she's waving them around and Noel's like, basically my face is all I've got. I'll get out of your way now.
I have to find a jug. I just got it from the bin outside.
At this point, I don't care. So they had to make cakes, caramel cakes. Now,
Yes.
in terms of the flavours, there were some interesting flavours. Julia made a poppy seed caramel cake, which sounded quite nice, and they seemed to like that. You had Liam went with the white layered ginger caramel cake.
Yep.
Sophie went with the bird's nest,
Very pure.
which they commented on at the start and said the humidity's had a role in this, which is true.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've commented on that a few times about the humidity and the problem with British Bake Off. Stacey went with the chocolate and coffee caramel cake, which, you know, you hadn't had coffee. Stephen made what they called the caramel crown, which
looked amazing.
It did look, as Paul Hollywood put it, it looks like it's from Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Until they cut it open.
It kind of looked like Viserys' head after he'd got crowned by Khal Drogo.
It really did, you're right.
Just like that really red, bloody...
Tom allegedly made a hummingbird cake. I say allegedly because I think what he did was pour hummingbird cake batter into something.
Again.
It looked so raw when they cut it. They didn't even have to taste it.
It was like, if you're on a raw food diet, you
want his cake. And my personal favourite cake of the challenge, and it's not just because we love her, but the Animals of the Rainforest caramel cake with the flowing river of caramel down the middle of it for that design.
It's like she took inspiration from Liv from last year.
Yeah, so she's looked at Liv and gone, what can I do?
Yeah, she's like, I just, I need my palm trees. All it was missing was a little camel.
Yeah, she needed a toy camel. She needed all those toys that Liv should have just sent her a care package. Just all
barrel monkeys or something.
The barrel monkeys would have been good. So in the judging,
but it was a bit overbaked.
Yeah. So before we get to the judging, Stephen, when he poured his crown cake, he pours it and goes, "It's a bit sexual, isn't it?" And what I loved about this was then Stacey poured hers, and it looked more like she was pouring venereal disease.
No, yes, it too looked sexual.
It looked like clinic.
But it was a clinic. More in the STI category.
She was going to a clinic, and that clinic ain't free. So Sophie, humidity impacted the sugar, but the crunch. Prue sighed when she crunched it. It was like, oh, that's...
But you know whose toffee I really wanted to get? I just wanted to eat was the shards on Julia's cake. Like
the shards on Julia's.
I'm a fucking toffee fiend.
And they commented about Julia a couple of times commented on the caramel being too thick on her nuts. And at that point, all I could think of was Andrew.
Yes.
And all I could think of was Andrew and the night.
Just one little jousting night.
One little jousting night. Well, it wasn't a little jousting night. It was quite a robust jousting night, it turned out.
Yes. Brought his own stick and everything.
Now, the way that you described James's cake, I thought was nice. Because they've gone, it's a bit simplistic, and you've gone beige.
It's just
before they've even used the word simplistic, you've just gone, it's beige.
The outside's beige.
I love that Prue went
beige.
Prue went, the flavour's good, and Paul goes, it's rubbery.
It's so beige. The 1990s called and asked for its fashion back. It's so beige. Kirk Cameron called and asked if we could get it in a pair of pants. Sorry.
Anyway, Liam looked good. They both loved it, and I love the fact that Prue got to use the word treacly.
I think we all loved the fact that Prue got to use the word treacly.
They described Stacey's icing as slimy. Which, given the jokes we've been making about the VD...
What she should have said is like, I just wanted it to resemble the inside of the pupae when it's like, when the caterpillar's like, completely disfigured itself to become a butterfly.
And let's just for a minute regard the fact that she decided to pay homage to the very hungry caterpillar.
But had to call it the life cycle of a butterfly.
Yeah, it was life cycle of a butterfly, not the very hungry caterpillar. And they didn't even call it the very hungry caterpillar. They called it hungry caterpillar. Because the very hungry caterpillar is a trademark.
They should have called it hungry caterpillars. And then had four of them in each corner.
The slightly peckish caterpillar. The horribly Moorish caterpillar.
The remotely numbing caterpillar.
They loved Yan's overall, and how would they not?
Yeah, but they didn't. They said it was overbaked.
Well, yeah, they said it was a little bit. No, they said it was a little bit tough, but the flavour was wonderful. Stephen had the amazing design, and they cut it open and went, "Oh dear God, this is like rock."
Yeah.
Tom, very basic was the starting point. Then they cut it open, and you get the phrases gluey and underbaked. And then they added, and there's no crumb, and you're like, the crumb's the least of the worries at this point in time.
It's just like, it's a terrible cake. And I'm like, no, please, he's not dead yet. Keep stomping on him.
But the funniest part was that when we get to the judging at the end, and they go, the person going home this week is Tom, and they all go, "Oh, we're so sorry." And he stands up and he goes, "No, that was a horrible cake." He goes, "No, everyone else made really good cakes. Mine was horrible."
I'd imagine that if he didn't get called out, he'd go, "No,
seriously.
I offer myself as tribute."
Yes, seriously, that was terrible. Kate's looked good. The flavour was beautiful. Sensational was Prue's words before she told him what, and I asked for the recipe.
Yes.
So Kate is your star baker, and again, probably fair enough this week.
Yeah.
Look, Liam ran her very close. I'll give you that.
I know. I was rooting for Liam, and not in the metaphorical.
No, we
American
know. We know.
sense. Yeah.
So I think, look, Liam was close. It's probably
he
Liam's.
used the word "in it." He goes, "It's cake in it." Or was it? It's caramel in it. I can't remember.
Maybe he was talking about this caramel inside, and it wasn't like it. It was like there's actually caramel
in it.
Yes. He was actually being very good with his diction and grammar, and not talking street word. Liam's best week by a mile. Kate just keeps on producing really unusual things that are awesome.
Oh, you know what? I reckon on bonfire night, not only does she make that fucking cake, but she also like builds the bonfire, and also like
makes her own fireworks.
Manufactures her own fireworks for it.
If you haven't seen it, by the way, I highly recommend the Richard Hammond special where he recreates Guy Fawkes Night in terms of the actual let's blow up the Houses of Parliament. I'd like to think that she worked as an assistant on that. Because it wouldn't shock me.
She was the creative design behind it.
It wouldn't shock me. So that's kind of the end of Caramel Week this week. It was an interesting week.
I think it was a good choice because it really because everyone had been doing exceedingly well, and it wasn't that they were cruising, but they were excelling. And this week you saw everyone kind of get put under the bump.
They threw everyone a bit of a curveball by doing it, and I thought that was a good portion of it. The fact that they threw them all a curveball and tried to give them something a bit different to do.
And I think it was a bit better than getting something like a chocolate week or.
And I like the fact that next week we're getting pudding week.
Oh yeah, there's trifle.
So next week we're getting pudding week, and let's face it, can we find anything probably more British than pudding week? It's going to be possibly the most British week they're going to have.
But again, they're not going to do a trifle better than my mum's.
So in other words, your mum's about to win Great British Bake Off.
Yes.
Okay. So congratulations, Alice. Wonderful job. And on that bombshell, it's time for us to head off. I'm still Chris.
I'm still Kristie.
And we will catch you all next week.
Ciao.